Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Money Magnette Podcast. And today we have our guest, Kimisha King, and we'll be discussing how to drive yourself to success with purpose, vision, and goals. Welcome, Kimisha. So glad to have you here.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about your background, your story, what you do, who you are, and what you do in the world generally, so our listeners can get to know you, and then we'll jump right into the show.
Sure, definitely. So, my name is
Mm.
Kimisha King, and I am from the beautiful island of Barbados. I am a visionary strategist and a life purpose coach. And I have an organization called Queensmindset where we empower women. So, being a visionary strategist, my purpose there is to help women to birth their visions and to walk in their purpose. And that's a little bit
Awesome.
about what I do.
Awesome. That's so awesome. I know you're passionate
Yeah.
about having a vision and all that purpose driven lifestyle and all that. So can you tell me why you're so passionate about this? Like why is it in your heart to talk about this?
Certainly. So, I'm going to take you guys way far back. So, at the age of 4, I grew up in a home of dysfunction. I grew up seeing my parents arguing, almost every single day they would argue. I saw my mother and her siblings physically fight every single day. I know this was a household that every Sunday I had to go to church, and every Saturday I had to go to church as well because my father being a 7 days Adventist and my mother being Pentecost. So I didn't get to choose until I was older. So I had to go to church every day. So when I go to church, the teachings that I'm getting at church is not what I'm seeing in my household. And having seen that consistently before my eyes, I decided I need to escape this reality. So I would use television as my escape. I sit in front of the television and I just begin to imagine a better reality. Now, at the age of 4, I had no idea what I was doing. I just was thinking, every time I watch those videos and I see them having, family time, I see them having this luxurious home and, doing great things that I wanted my family to be able to do, I started to think, maybe this is possible because of what I was seeing. Now, later as I grew up, I recognized that what I was doing was that I was visualizing a better life. And that is what really helped me to keep my mental capacity intact. And of course, God at the center, which was also helping me because at the age of 4, I also stand at the doorway and I saw my grandmother toss hot boiling water onto my mother. And with my mother's quick reaction, I saw her take the food off the stove and then toss it right back at her. So in the midst of seeing all those things just happening in front of me, profanity, seeing them just cursing out each other every single day, but I just kept telling myself this could not be the lifestyle for me. Like I say, I came from poverty, so I would be sitting here and sometimes you may see the rats behind you. They go to eat your food, and sometimes we
Yeah.
had to have a bucket and place it in the middle of the house just to capture the water that is coming from the ceiling because there were holes coming from the galvanized on the roof. Like these were things that I was seeing every single day. I was so ashamed of where I came from. I did not invite a friend over. I never wanted anyone to know where I lived because at that time we never had what we call the inside bathroom, which is very like the modern day bathroom. We
Yeah.
had what we call
Yeah.
in Barbados a pit toilet. So I didn't want persons
Mm.
to know I had to bathe in the backyard with the hose. I didn't want persons to know that some days I didn't have current. I had to borrow current from other persons. I had to borrow the hose from the next door neighbor and take a shower in my backyard. I didn't want people to know that's where I came from. So I was struggling with that all the time. And every day that television was what made me escape. So in doing that, it didn't only recognize that what I was doing was creating that vision for myself because I recognized what another thing I was doing was that on my room, because me and my sister we shared the same room for almost like 20 something years. And I remember just putting on that door that this room is filled with love and different things because I saw how my mother and her siblings behave and how they get along. And I didn't want that for my sister and I. So I would speak those things over as I would create what is known to be a vision board, but I didn't know that was what it was.
Mm.
I would create
Yeah.
that in my room with pictures and everything until I got older and I realized, Kamisha, you were always visualizing. And I thought,
Mm.
okay, everything that I did, I was doing in faith. I was applying it from what I was seeing on television. I was using faith through my relationship with God and praying for Him to bring me out of this lifestyle that I was in.
Yeah.
And that's what got me passionate about becoming a visionary strategist. And you know what's really interesting? I only recognized that a few years ago. So all of that was happening for
Wow.
many years, and I only recognized this is it. This
That
is
you've
what
been
you've been doing all
visioning
your
all
life.
this while.
Yes, all my life. If you've been
Yeah,
doing
that's so
that.
awesome.
So that's what got me here. And that's what makes me so passionate about vision.
Awesome.
Yeah.
When did it hit you that, look, I did this and this is it? This is what it's called. This is why it's called visioning. And this is the result I got. And like, when did it happen to you that, oh my God, I've been doing this and this is the result? And now I can see, looking back, that the results were actually working. Like, how did it hit you? How did you get to that fact that this is
Wow.
visioning
Listen.
you're doing?
If I'm going to be honest, it was really last year that I put it into perspective, to be quite honest. That because all the time I was doing that, I was helping persons, but I never had a title to it,
Mm,
never called it anything. But I did a mentorship
yeah.
program and she with Dr. Nadine Collins. And what she said to me, Kimisha, do you understand that what you were doing was visualization? Did you understand that? And I didn't really say it as that. I would have friends say to me, like, somehow I just seem to navigate life. Nothing bothers me, or whenever something happens, I bounce
Mm-hmm.
back quickly. But it was because I taught myself that at such a young age. I've been doing that program with her. She really began to pull those things out of me. And then I recognized, okay, this is who you are. This is why you're so passionate when you speak to people on purpose and on vision. This is why you are doing that, because it has been embodied in you based on your life experiences. And I really recognized that only last year.
Oh, that's so awesome. So, how would
Yeah.
you tell someone to get on board, like to see the big picture ahead? How would you advise someone that is in chaos, that is thinking, how do I start from the beginning? How do I start life all over again? What do I do to get to where I want to be? How do I set this vision clearly so I know how to get there? Because if you can't see it, you can't get there.
That's true. That's exactly correct. I think it really calls for a lot of self introspection. You have to be honest
Mm-hmm.
with yourself. And many times we feel like that because we don't want to be honest. And that's why when someone tells us the things that we really need to hear, it hurts that much because deep down inside we know what they're saying is true. So the first step is to be honest with yourself, honest at where you're at. So for me, I came from dysfunction and poverty. I was ashamed of that, so I never spoke about it. So if that's where you are, then you need to speak about it so you can get that healing. You can understand because the things that you're going through right now, you're not going through by chance. I know sometimes we say, oh, why me? Why is this happening to me? And we complain a lot, but it's happening to you because you've been called to produce the solution to the problem. But you have to experience the problem
Yeah,
first. So if you don't experience the problem,
true.
you don't know how to create the solution. So you first need to understand
Exactly.
what's my problem? What are the problems that I'm having? And how long have these problems been happening? And then, okay, maybe I'm called for that. You recognize there's some things that happen and you will say it's a pet peeve of mine. Like it gets really annoyed. Oh, this thing. It's because you've been called to fix that. That's something you've been called to fix. That's
Mm,
why it's annoying you. It's nudging you. That annoyance that you're feeling is nudging you to say, do something about it. So that's where you begin on doing that self
exactly.
reflection, yeah. And then you get that, and then once you know
Mm,
that, you recognize, oh my God, this is it. This is the thing that I'm so passionate about. I can do it and don't have to be paid for it. I can
yeah.
talk on this all day. It's like home for me. Then you start to recognize, okay, this is really what I'm called to. And then you have to be
Mm,
courageous now. Because now that you have discovered it,
yeah.
you have to be courageous to pursue it, because most times people recognize this is what I'm called for. But then here's what happened. We start to talk to ourselves. We tell ourselves, I'm not good enough, I'm not
Mm,
experienced, I've never had exposure in this area. How dare me give advice on this topic? How dare me? And we talk ourselves out of it. And when we do that, and all we're doing is really shutting ourselves and pushing ourselves in a corner. And that's not what you do. You first go now. Your first thing to do when to get build your courage is to go to someone who's already doing what you want to do, because you're not the only person that's called to
true.
the assignment. So you're supposed to
Mm,
seek out that person who is doing that thing and who has the experience and the exposure in that area. Sit at their feet and learn. And you learn from them and you build yourself, and then you go out and you be great. You don't covet what they have. You don't try to compete with them, but you just come to learn. You humble yourself and you learn from them. And then you go out and you help others because you have your specific people that you've been called to. And you're going to connect with them. You don't have to be
Exactly.
worried about, yeah, you don't have to be worried. And sometimes we tell ourselves, like, so many people is doing that. Yeah. But are they going to do it like you? Nobody has your
Mm-hmm.
imprint.
Every
You're going to do it different. Yeah. You're going to
true.
do it different.
That's
You
true.
just need now to
It's
learn,
never gonna
and then
be
you
the
go out.
same. There's no competition.
That's it. Yeah, that's it. So that would be my advice. Yeah.
Yeah, that's so
Yeah.
good to know. Thank you so
Yeah.
much. Next question I'd like to ask is, so how do I identify my purpose? Like I know, okay, I
Mhm.
have an idea of what I want to do, what solutions I'm here to provide. But then,
Mhm.
how do I know that this is really it? I'm not doubting myself. Like, okay, how do I take away doubt? What are the steps that I would check within me to say, okay, this is really it? This is what I should be doing. This is what should be driving me. How do I really identify that purpose?
Mhm. So you really get to identify that purpose. It goes back, like I had mentioned earlier, in your self reflection, when you be honest with yourself in terms of what it is that you're passionate
Mm-hmm.
about, what it is that is driving you, and you'll find that out. So, for example, let's say you have a friend, and let's use me as an example. Coming up, I was always the friend who would give the advice. I would talk them through, I would counsel them. I was the one that you had wisdom. I was always telling them, I was empowering them, I was telling them, you deserve more, deserve better.
Yeah.
And that was me, the encouraging friend. I didn't recognize that was all embodied into my purpose, that I was called to be that person to help birth, to help mobilize the midwife, to sit there with them. I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
No, that may be you in a similar thing. Or it might be, okay, you just recognize that something is something about art that you love. When you take that piece of paper and pen or pencil, yeah, you start to draw, is like, it you just feels so at home and so safe. You gotta find this thing that you're connected with. That thing that you know that if you continue to do it for the rest of your life and no one pays you for it and no one recognizes you, you will still do it. That's the thing that is
So
your
true.
purpose. That's the thing that has you have been called to, because it's like a part of you. Like, you can't shake it. It don't matter what happens, you can't shake it. I know some people that would say when they were going to school, when they were in high school, the teacher would say, you're too talkative. And when you look at some of those people,
Mm.
guess what? They have major platforms where they're speaking. They're either doing something in media or they're doing stuff, but they're using that talent that they have, which is just talking. They're doing podcasting, they're doing so many
True.
things because that's what they loved from so young. But you have to spend the
Mm.
time now identify that thing. And like I said, when you identify it, your next step is courage. You need the courage to pursue it, because you can identify it and not do anything because you are afraid. You are afraid that you're not good enough, and that's what prohibits you from being able to go forth and really develop your purpose.
Yeah, so that's awesome.
Yes.
From what I've gathered so far, you just have to take away fear, embody your purpose. You know it deep down
That's right.
already. You just have to believe in it and move towards it. That's
Yes.
awesome. So now imagine I have this awesome vision and then I'm so overwhelmed by it. Like, how do I break it down to goals that I can do daily? How do I get myself inspired daily to work on this vision, to move towards that goal?
Yeah. It really starts with the mindset,
Mm-hmm.
because the mindset has to shift. It has to
Yeah,
change. I mentioned earlier about you being able to connect with the right individuals who are already doing what you want to do, who are where you're at. That's your first step, because you want to learn from them. You want to learn from their experiences. No, it's really great when you can learn from someone who has gone ahead, because what happens is that helps you to skip seasons, because they had to learn it along the way. They didn't have anyone to teach them, but you're now coming
true.
in at a point where they have already done the work. So when you go in, you're now at an advantage. So that's why it's important now to be humble yourself, go to that person. And that person doesn't always have to be physical. It can be a book. You can start reading the books, you can start listening to the podcast, you can start watching
Yeah,
the videos, you
yeah,
can do a course on the particular area. You can start educate yourself in the field, because what you are doing is that you are building your confidence. Because in order for you to go out now and pursue that purpose, your confidence level needs to develop to a point where you are okay with standing up and saying, this is who I am. So that's your first step.
Yeah.
You get the courage, you seek them, then you build your confidence in gaining that information for them. And then you begin to affirm some things in your life because you know now that this is what you
Hmm.
have been
True.
called to. So you begin to speak those things over your life. I will be great. You start to say those things, start to speak those things. If you want to be a doctor, a lawyer, if you want to be someone who is a motivational speaker, I'm the greatest motivational speaker that has ever lived. You start to speak those things over your life
Yeah.
every single day, even if you don't feel like it. And let me tell you something, the days when you don't feel like it, those are the days that you need to say it the most, because that's when you're being challenged now. Because what's going to happen through your journey, there are going to be obstacles because you're going to be tested. The minute you say yes to your purpose, you're going to be tested on that purpose. Because let me tell you a story. I will share a story here with you. When I first discovered I was
Okay.
called to help women, this was back in 2017. I started my channel on Instagram. And in 2018, I had asked, and not 2018, in 2017, I had asked this individual to partner with me. I wanted to collaborate because I felt I was new to it all and this person was doing really well. I thought if we come together, we're doing similar things, we can really branch out and reach more women. But she shattered my dreams because she told me I wasn't ready. She questioned if I was worthy, and that sent me into a shell. And I started to challenge myself because I started seeing the things that she was saying to me. Maybe you're not ready. Maybe you're not good for this. And I started to tell myself all these things. And guess what I did? I did nothing for
Yeah.
an entire year. The year of 2018, nothing. The page was just dormant. Nothing was happening until 2019 when God spoke to me and said, start again. And from that time on, I have been doing stuff consistently then. I'm building on my brand of Queensmindset. But get this, if I had stayed there, if I had stayed down, I would not have gotten to the place where I am today, where I'm able to reach so many persons. And I'm saying this to you not to really speak about myself per se or to celebrate me, but I'm saying this to encourage that listener right now who is thinking that, what if I pursue this thing and it doesn't work? But what if you pursue it and it does? Because you
Exactly.
don't know what's going to happen, and it's okay to hear
Mm-hmm.
no, because guess what, the word no is just, it just means next opportunity. That's it. Whenever you hear that
True.
word no, next opportunity, you don't get stuck up on no, because expect the no's to come, because it's so, listen, it runs in like a frequency. You're going to hear some no's and then you're
Yeah.
going to hear yes, and then you're going to hear some no's and then you're going to hear yes, and you just need to find your rhythm. You just need to find those
Mm-hmm.
persons that you need to connect with. And those are the persons that you're going to stay close to. And that's what's going to encourage you, because along that journey, when those obstacles come, your mental capacity, you have to have that mental toughness. When people shut you down, when people say things about you that are not true, and they're saying it out of ignorance because they don't know any better. And you don't need to
True.
focus on what they're saying. It's a distraction. So don't focus on them, but focus on where you are going. But that comes with confidence, which is why you first have to start with building yourself up first. And once you
Hmm.
build yourself
True.
up and you go out now, when people say stuff, it just begins to fall off your back like water on a duck's back, because you're ready. You've done the
Hmm.
work. You've put in the time. You know what it takes,
Yeah.
and you're there now to build. So that's what you do every single day. You stay encouraged. You stay close to those persons who are developing. You encourage yourself with affirmation. You believe in yourself. You need to first start with believe that you can do it. Even if you don't see it happening right now, you still have to keep that belief, because that's what's going to pull you through. Keep reading those books, keep listening to those audios, so that you are building that capacity to stand in your position.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
This is what I keep telling people that come around me. I'm like, yeah, when you have this vision, you can always
Yeah.
talk to yourself, I can do this. You build that self confidence, build that mental capacity, as you said, that a no is not just no. Like you said something, you said it's next opportunity, right? Yeah, like just
Yeah.
know that it's just a game. Okay, she said no doesn't mean the next person will say no. Don't let it get to you. Yeah, you might feel down and
That's
knocked
right.
up, but hey, guess what? You can get up again. You can go. It's your vision,
Uh-huh.
it's your purpose, it's your dream. So you're the one that know where you're going. The person that said no probably
That's
doesn't
right.
know where you're going. He's not seeing the
Uh-huh.
picture. He or she is not seeing the picture. You're the only one seeing the picture. So don't let that deter you. I really love what you shared
That's
here,
right.
honestly. It's
Yes.
resonating with what talking about. And I think I'll have a guest in future talk about self-confidence. I
That'd
know
be good.
a lot of women that have been down and out, they'll be like, okay, how do I do this? Because they're doubting themselves. They're like,
Yeah.
their self-esteem, their self-confidence is already low. How do I get back on my feet? How
Mhm.
do I drive? How do I run on my pace, on my vision, on my purpose, everything that I'm supposed to do? How do I go about this? Sometimes it's just they need someone to talk to them. You can do this. So, like you said, get someone, read a book, listen to a podcast like this to get
Yes.
inspired daily so you can move forward in life. That's so awesome.
It's also important that you pay special attention to your environment and who you have in your environment, because your environment is very important. Because if you are hanging around persons who are not looking for better, they don't have to be doing the same purpose as you, they don't have to pursue the same thing, they just need to be like minded. Because if you are not able to learn from them to become better, then it's just going to be dragging you down. Because if you have 5 friends, and out of those 5 friends that you have, and you're the smartest, then you don't have any friends. You need not to be the
Mm,
smartest one in the group. You need to be the one at the lowest level.
mhm.
You need those people to pull you up. And every time you go up another level,
Yeah.
then you're beginning to grab more friends. And because it's all about
Mm,
your learning, you want to be in an environment that when you turn to someone and you say you have this brilliant idea,
yeah.
they can encourage you, they can give you great feedback, and not someone who can say no. And then, even like I
Mm,
said, with the next opportunity, another thing to understand is when you begin, because when you get that vision and you recognize, you're excited. You can tell the world you're top of cloud 9. But when you start to tell that
yeah.
person and that person does not get it, I need you to understand that the vision was never given to them. It was given to you. It was never a conference call. It was only given to you. And you're the one who is supposed to see it, because you're the one who has to know the picture, because it's in your head. So you now have to take it from your head now and make it a reality for other persons. You are the painter. So you know have to paint that concept that they see, and how well that picture looks depends on how well you paint it. It really depends on
Mm.
you. Yeah.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
I love what you just shared. I believe it will really inspire someone
Yeah.
today to get up and do something. Work on that dream, work on that
Yeah.
vision. It is for you. You don't have to worry what's next. It's always going to be supported by God because it's your dream.
That's right.
Okay, that's good.
Mhm.
So tell us, how did you become a visionary strategist? Because I saw that you're one, and how did the whole thing start? This journey of being a visionary strategist.
Yeah. So I became that, like I had mentioned earlier, that when I
Mm,
grew up and how I grew up and me being visualized and everything, didn't realize that
yeah.
that's what I was called to do. So last year I
Mm-hmm.
did a course called the Speaker Mentorship Program. And when I was doing that course, I was trying to tighten my message and how well I come over
Mm,
to persons as I was building up my brand. And as I
mm,
started to write my story, and Dr. Collins started to ask, because she's actually the person, the creator of the program, she started to ask me
mm,
questions around my vision. And then I recognized, oh my goodness, this is really my title. This is really what I was doing
yeah.
ever since. But I didn't know, because I was only a life purpose coach, just helping persons to find their
Yeah.
purpose and everything. But a lot of that really came from vision, because of what I was doing. But it was through her program that I was able to identify, hey, you are a visionary strategist, because you have been giving
Mm,
persons these strategies, because you've been implementing them. So when I was, I think it was like 21 or something like that. So, like I said, my story coming from poverty, I wanted, from watching television, I always said, I want to study overseas. But I knew my parents didn't have the
mm,
money. We didn't have
mm-hmm.
it. But I wanted this so badly. I remember when I got into university, and the first year before that, let's back up a bit. So I wanted to, my whole aim,
Okay.
get into university, all right? So I got into
Mm-hmm.
university. But before I got accepted, I got an opportunity to actually work at the university that I had applied at. At the time, I did not
Oh,
receive my actual letter to say that I was accepted, my acceptance letter. But I had an opportunity to work on the inside. God is just so amazing. So here I am
as
working in
in,
this office, the student service
yeah.
office, right? And I heard about this opportunity to study overseas. And as I'm working, they're behind me, they're talking. I'm like, oh my goodness, I need to speak with this lady because I need to know more. So I found
Mm-hmm.
out the information from her, and she explained to me I can go, but it has to be in my second year. It cannot be in my first year. And that's if I'm accepted. So a few months later, I got accepted. Thank God. So here I am. I started my journey and I started pursuing this. I said, okay, I'm going to this. I didn't know which university I was going to go to. I had options to go to the UK, to go to Canada, or to go to the USA. It didn't matter where I went. I just wanted to go to
You just
university
wanted to go
outside
out.
of
Yeah.
Barbados. Yeah. I wanted to
Yeah.
experience that because I sat and I watched those television shows of how they would have their lockers and how cute it looked. And I thought, let's experience this. So I had to pursue it. But then when I got there, they started to tell me some stuff. They said, okay, it's 15,000 US dollars to go. And in Barbados, that's about 30,000 Barbados dollars. And I'm like, hold up. I'm already struggling to pay school
Mhm.
fees right now. There's no way I can do
Mhm.
this. But then she
Yeah.
told me, okay, there's a scholarship. You can apply for this scholarship, but there's no guarantee that you will get it because so many people are applying. So, you really don't
Mhm.
know. However, I said, no problem. I'm applying because that was my way out. So as I applied and I was waiting to hear back from these persons, and it took so long.
Mhm.
And I said, you know what? I'm not going to wait any longer. So I made a decision. I'm going to start selling snacks. So I started to sell snacks at school. I didn't even ask permission. I started selling snacks. I was selling everything. Honestly, I was selling my clothes if I could too because I needed the
Yeah.
money. And then I got
Mhm.
back to her and she said, you know what? I made a mistake. There was an error made on the application because I had registered to do a full year and she had submitted for one semester.
Want.
And in that, yeah, one semester, in that moment, I could
Mhm.
have gotten angry, but I refused to get angry. So I used my
Mhm.
emotional intelligence and I said, you know what? That's okay. I'll find the money for the other semester. I didn't know how I was going to find that money. My parents still could not afford it. So I said, okay, the plan has to change. So I stopped selling snacks and I started selling ice cream. I started selling like different sweets and stuff at home so that children in my community, they can come to my home and they can purchase from me. But that was not bringing
Mhm.
enough money. So I said, okay, we got to level this up. So I did a conference, and this was not a conference, a concert. And this was crazy because there was nobody there. Nobody attended my concert except for the performers. Only the performers were there
Yeah.
and some of my family members and those who were helping me.
Yeah.
Like the place was totally empty. And I hardly sell tickets for that. So I didn't have enough money. I decided, okay, let's do a
Mhm.
barbecue. I did a barbecue. I got a few persons to come out. I sent out some sponsorship letters to some organizations. Some people responded to
Yeah.
that and I was able to have the stuff there. But then I didn't have enough because at the end I had to end up giving away stuff because it didn't sell. I had to give them away because there's so much stuff to take back home. Had to give
Yeah.
them to persons who were there, and still didn't have enough money. So then I decided, okay, let's do a dollar drive. I did the dollar
Mhm.
drive, and I got some money. Still was not enough money. I sent out other sponsorship letters to persons in the area. Got back to some people and then didn't. So in all, and I'm trying to condense this story because it's a bit long, but in all, when the
Okay.
time was ready for me to leave Barbados to go overseas, I still don't have all the money. No, I got the acceptance letter. They submitted, they said I was accepted to the university. The university that accepted me, get this, Queen's University in Canada. I thought that was really crazy because now my
Mm.
organization is called Queensmindset, right? So Queen's University,
Yeah.
I got accepted there. I still didn't have all the funds and I was still waiting for them to respond. I didn't know if they were going to respond. So here we're coming.
Mhm.
I had to leave in August. I had to purchase a ticket. It didn't
Mhm.
make sense purchasing a ticket if I never got back
Yeah.
the
Well, you just followed
letter to
your
say,
dream.
yes, and I needed a student permit because you can't stay that long without a student permit. So I'm doing this by faith because I'm visualizing this thing every single day. I
Mhm.
would go in front of the computer and I would go onto their website and I would begin to scroll through. I saw there were pictures, there were videos of how the campus looked. There were different things that were happening around. I started to just dive myself into everything.
Mhm.
Single day, I'll do that.
Mhm.
I'll pray over it. I started packing my luggage. I didn't even know if it was going to be accepted. I packed my luggage and I pray over it every single day. And I did this for months because it was months
Mhm.
out before. And then the decision had to
Mhm.
be made. No, are you going to buy this ticket in faith
Or not.
because you still haven't heard anything, or are you going to stay? So I made a decision. I'm going to buy the ticket. So I went to the airlines and I purchased the ticket. Because I purchased the ticket so late, I purchased it like 2 days before I had to leave. The ticket was like $2,800. That's 2,800 Barbados dollars. really high. That's a lot of the money
Yeah.
out of what I had. And I still don't know if I've been accepted for this scholarship.
Or
Now,
not.
I boarded that flight in total faith. I didn't know where I was going to stay because I had booked a hotel, but I had to cancel the hotel because I didn't have the money for it. Luckily for me, my cousin, she hooked me up with one of her friends who were in Canada, who was staying in a different state, and I was able to stay with them for that weekend. That for me was also crazy because I don't know this guy. How am I gonna go to this guy's house?
Yeah.
I don't know who he is and all that stuff. But I prayed about
Yeah.
it and I felt like it was gonna be okay. So I stayed with them in the
Awesome.
weekend. He collected me from the airport. He was really nice. He helped me
Yeah.
work through everything. Now on the day now, we had to go, all the international students, there was a meeting for them. And I went to that meeting and I remember before I left Barbados, I got some souvenirs from the lady who was in Canada, the administrator who was assisting me. And I said, I want to give her something because I felt like she was doing a lot trying to get everything together for me. So when I got there and I
Yeah.
introduced myself to her, she was so shocked. She was like, oh my goodness, you are here. I didn't thought you were going to make it because I know we never got back to you to let you know what was happening with your application. But she said, Misha, I saw your
Wow.
application come in and I recognized there was an error that was made
Wow.
because it was submitted for one semester. And I know when we spoke, you said you wanted to do a year. So I resubmitted it and I'm waiting for the vice chancellor to respond. She said, so maybe we'll hear something back in
Wow.
about 3 weeks or so, but I'll let you know.
Oh,
No,
wow.
I had to make payments down on the house because I was staying at the actual
Yeah.
house on campus. I had made the first down payment, but the final payment was due that month. And I'm like, where is that going to come from? So I'm in faith, but guess what? Because of my faith and
Yeah.
because of my resilience and my vision, because the vision was so strong, was so real, I knew this is something that I wanted to do. I was willing to go past everyone who was saying no, everyone who was saying not no, everyone was shutting me down. And then in 3 weeks, I got the email and it said, congratulations, you have received a full scholarship to stay here for the year. And I'm like, I was just like, oh my goodness, thank
Oh
you,
my
Jesus.
goodness.
Thank you, Jesus. But it
Yeah.
was not going to work until I pushed. So I wanted to share that story to encourage someone that sometimes you have to go above and beyond because I was so passionate about
Yeah.
what I wanted. I was so sure that this is something that was going to happen for me. And I did not give up because everybody told me, even my pastor, they told me, go borrow the money from the bank.
Hmm.
Just borrow the money from the bank. Or maybe this is not a good time. They tried to talk me out of it. But I was so
Hmm.
sure. And that's going to happen along your journey. You have to be so sure that even if
Yeah.
your mother says, this is not it, you can say to her, this is it. And that's what I was able to do
Yeah.
and able to accomplish that. Yeah.
Like, this is an awesome story. I can't, like, a
Yeah.
lot of principles you've just mentioned in your story. You
Yeah.
have to have a vision first. You have to believe in the vision, then you work towards it, and then you leave it up to God. Like, you just do your own part. I love the fact that you took a leap of faith, bought the ticket, and you got there. You
Yes.
don't even want to know. You just know that this is my dream and I'm going for it. Like, that is all it takes for the
Yeah.
universe, for God to even get to you and say, yes,
Mhm.
receive it. This story is amazing. Like, you just said it all. The story just said it all. Once you have a vision, look at it every day, work towards it. What do I do? And you kept on trying so many things. Like you said, you sold this, you did a concert, you did this, even though it was looking like it was not
Yeah.
working. But in the end, you got the
I'm telling you.
results. Yeah, so that's what
Yes.
matters. Like, when you have a vision, just push through on it daily, like every day. Okay, this is
Yes.
the goal. This is where we're going. This is what you look at it again. Even when doubts come, voices of people come and say you can't do it or you can't do it, you can't do this, you can't do that.
Hmm.
Just keep looking at the picture. Keep looking at the big picture. In fact, I'm so amazed. Thank you so much for sharing this
You
wonderful,
are.
so much to pick from it, and I hope my listeners are getting inspired
Yes.
by it.
Yes.
You want to add
Yes.
any other thing? Want to say any other thing to encourage someone out there that is down and low? Like, how do I start life all over again?
Definitely. My
Mm,
encouragement to that person who's feeling really low, maybe this isn't for you or you want to
mm-hmm,
check out. I want you to start
mm-hmm,
list the reasons why you think you should check out. And I know it sounds crazy. Why would I do
mm-hmm,
that? But when you write
mm-hmm,
all those reasons why you should check out, and then I want you to respond to those reasons as why you should not check out. Because if you say I should check out because it's not working, I don't have the finances, the resources are not there, because
Mm-hmm.
most times we're making decisions and we're making them based on money. I have learned through my
Yeah.
experiences, never make a decision based on money. If you want something, you go after it and the money will
Out
follow you.
for it.
Yeah, you're going to
True.
control the money. The flow of money will come to you, but you got to make the decision first. Remember, when you're pursuing something, God wants to know that you're serious. If you're going to enter into a contract with
Yeah.
Him, He's the covenant keeping God. If you're going to enter into a contract with Him, you got to do your part. You got to do the work. And if you're not prepared to do the work, then you don't start it. If where you are right now, you're feeling overwhelmed because you believe that maybe this is not for me, the reason why you're feeling overwhelmed is because you're being crushed. Look at this. When grapes are crushed, they're being crushed because they're preparing them to make wine. If you're going to get to your
Mm.
wine moment, you have to be crushed. And the crushing and the pressing does not mean something is wrong with you. It means that you're in preparation. Get excited about your preparation process, because it means you're closer to the end result. And let me tell you, when you get to the end result, when you taste that wine, it's fantastic, because you're taking your time to crush it, to make sure it goes through all the processes that it has to go through, and it tastes the way it needs to taste. And that's your life. That's your life process. You need to have faith. You have to have faith in the process. You need to be able to believe. It's going to start at belief. Belief is where it starts. Why do you need to believe? Because if you're believing in something, you're believing in something because you've never seen it before. If you've seen something before, you don't need to believe in it. You know it's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
You've seen it happen
Mm-hmm.
before. But the reason why you're believing is because you've never done it before. So you need to believe. And then when you get to that place of belief, you're going to build your capacity to include faith. And faith comes along in that journey. And then you have to include trust. You have to now trust that process. You have to trust that it's going to work out no matter what it looks like. And then you are going to be able now to build your stamina of confidence, understanding who you are and whose you are and what you've been called to. And I really want to leave that with you. When you start with belief, the others are going to come, because they're all friends. They're all friends to believe. But you need to build your capacity to believe. And once you do that, you're going to get into that slump that you're in. So begin to talk to yourself in the mirror. Look at yourself and say, I can do this. I don't care what it is, because you can do it. And it all starts with you. Your mindset has to change. It's not working because your mindset is stuck. Change your mindset and you'll change your life.
Oh,
That's it for
awesome.
me.
Thanks so much, Kimisha. This is
Yes,
such a
you are most
lovely,
welcome.
lovely message. Such a lovely
Thank
message.
you.
In fact, I picked out a lot of things. Have the vision, believe in yourself, surround
Yes.
yourself with a community of people that are intelligent, that are moving in the same goals and vision as you, that even understand what you're talking about. And then just believe in yourself, believe it's going to happen for you. Thank
That's
you
right.
so much. So, one last
You're most
question
welcome.
before you go.
Sure.
Yeah, so imagine you had an unlimited budget. What would you do to have the biggest impact on the planet?
That's a good question. That's a good question. If I had an unlimited budget, I think that what I really would do is start a school. I'll start a university, Queen's University, for women,
Mhm,
where all women will be able to come. I'll be able to teach them in whatever area that they want to be able to pursue, be able to give them the tools,
mhm,
finance them with the tools that they need. And if they're
mhm,
starting a business, they're starting a charity, whatever they need, that I'll be able to help them to be able to pursue their goals and help to birth them. I think that's really what I would really spend my money on, helping persons to see a bigger tomorrow. And understanding that it's not
yeah,
just about you, it's about us. Also, I really spend
mm.
my money on helping them to develop and to bring their dreams and their goals and their visions into reality.
Thank you so much once again,
You are
Kimisha. In
most
fact, today has been
welcome.
a blessing to me, and I know it's a blessing to my
Yeah.
listeners as well. I know they're picking up something, they're running with their vision right now, and they're getting up and moving forward to success. Thank you for
Yes.
being on the Money Magnet podcast. We really appreciate you, and we'd love to
Yeah.
have you some other time in future. Who knows what topic we'll be
Oh,
talking about?
definitely. Thank you for having me.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you.
Bye. So
Bye.